Oh, ladies and gentlemen,
Did
I
you
feel like
share it
my
on Facebook?
yeah, hell yeah, dude. That's exactly what
Okay.
I'm about to do here. Let's
All
see
right.
how we can do
Tag me in
that.
that motherfucker
Ladies
because I'm
and
gonna share it.
gentlemen, welcome to a special impromptu Monday night, keeping it Rio. And all I got to do is take one quick second since we are live here. And we actually decided to go live, about 5 minutes ago? And I'm going to type in a couple things real quick here. We'll let a couple people gather. We've got Dave Taggart in the house. I feel like if I go up here and I change this and I say at David Taggart, we will instantly gain millions of viewers. So I'm looking to do that. Okay, yeah. I want friends of people you tagged may see this post. That's what I want. I want everybody to see this post.
Oh
We're
yeah.
even going to type in David Taggart of A5 Roofing, ladies and gentlemen. And
What?
let's type in A5. I got to say this. I really like the new brand, the new logo that you came out with for A5 there. The blue really kind of pops,
Pimp.
man. And
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. So,
I'm a
okay.
big fan.
I
I'm
feel
a
like I
big
got
fan
everything
too.
set up
That's pretty
here. We
sweet.
can
Shout
go
out
live and
Visual
do all
Patel.
that. Yeah. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying, we decided about 5 minutes ago to go live with Keeping It Rio episode 177 this week. I went out and I was saying, it took me 175 episodes to get the confidence to reach out to tonight's guest because I don't know, never got to interview Elvis. He was gone before I was born, but I have a feeling that this is kind of what it would feel like. So, in spite of all the people that have been on Keeping It Real in the past, I've never been more starstruck than I am at the moment. So, without any hesitation, let me welcome the one and only, your friend and mine. I do believe he is your favorite roofer's favorite roofer, as well as an award-winning podcast host and just overall good dude. Ladies and gentlemen, making his debut on Keeping It Rio, I welcome my friend Dave Taggart to the house. What is going on, Chief?
Chuck, man, I'm honored, brother. You always know the sweetest things to say to a guy, man.
Well, what the hell? Hey, my dude Brutus back here. I don't know if you could see him. He's got his A5
Yeah.
hat on. He's all excited about this episode too.
Nice.
So
Oh, that's the old school.
it is
Yeah,
the
that's
old
the
school.
throwback.
That's
That's
how I
that's like
roll.
the yeah, that's awesome. That's like the old pair of Adidas. You know what I mean? Like some guys still have one of those like old shell toes, you know?
You just got to roll around and say, hey, dude,
Crazy.
A5. The last time that hat actually graced my head, I'm sure you recall, but I was actually over in Austin, Texas, and I almost got my ass kicked by an old man while I was wearing that hat. So it's got some history behind it. And, thanks for letting me have a piece of that history. Luckily, I didn't get my ass kicked by an old man, but it was touch and go there for a second.
I really appreciate the fact that you came out there with us. That was way cool of you, man. And you've always been a like a part of my success story for as many times and as different chapters as there have been in my life. There's been key influential players, man, and you've been one of them. So I really appreciate that.
Well, I didn't expect to get that singular tear moment like 30 seconds into the show, but here we are, fans. It's a love fest. Yeah. And why not? That's one of the things that I really wanted to talk about on this episode is yesterday I woke up, and one of the first things I do just by force of habit is I look at my phone. And that's not a habit that I'm proud of, but it's just something that I do. And I looked at my Facebook memories because I want to remember something cool that happened, because I don't usually post a lot of negative stuff, but like to see that positivity in the morning. I go back, and yesterday's memory from 3 years ago was a pretty cool one. I had met this gentleman named Dave Taggart, who at the time was working for a roofing company, and he was going back and forth from Dallas to San Antonio, taking care of his family, doing all of his stuff, and just a random guy that I had followed on Facebook or whatever, but needed a little bit of help. And that day I told my guys that were with me, you know what, we're going to go help this dude. He seems pretty cool. And the fact of the matter is you're the only one left of that entire group that still associates with me. So I appreciate you for that. And that was a great moment. So anyhow, let's shoot the breeze a little bit, dude. It's been a while since we've sat down and chatted. A lot of stuff has happened in the last year. And
oh boy.
Yeah, I want to kind of go in on this because something I want to talk to you about is one of the experiences that you've had. And first thing I want to do before we go even any further into Keeping It Rio today is I want to start by telling a story about my personal experience with you.
Okay.
And the reason I do that is because I'm sure you're aware of the fact that you've got a personality that some people find great. Other people are like, you know what? That dude's a little bit much. So
Yeah.
I always get these folks that ask me, how is this guy in real life? How's this person? And I won't say anything about a human being unless I have a personal experience with them.
Mhm.
And I want to tell real quick my Dave Taggart personal experience because it's a pretty damn good one. And I am going to get a little emotional, quite honestly, because this guy's badass. So I have been here in San Antonio for about 5.5 years. And admittedly so, I'm not like a super like outgoing social type person. Most of my stuff is work related when I go out. So kind of hang out and I don't have a ton of like friends, right? I admit that here in San Antonio. And last year, Thanksgiving Day, I get a text from this dude, Dave Taggart, right? And he recognized that it had been kind of a shitty year for me the last year plus, leading up to that. And has always been a super cool friend. And like you said, you've allowed me to go and like work with your team and be a part of that stuff. And you called me up and said, dude, come on out here to my new house. We just got a house out here in New Braunfels, Texas. Come out and have dinner with my family. And I'll be honest, when you say that, I'm thinking, Dave must have like cousins and uncles and aunts and stuff coming out there to be inviting a dude like me out to his house. But I got out there and literally it was you, your wife, Jackie, your children, and her family. And I don't know if you heard all that, but it was like you and your family. It was a very quaint little setting. And to me, that shocked me for one. And it was like the most grateful that I have felt probably in an entire year. And so I tell people, you know what? You see one guy on TV here that does things that's maybe aggressive in your mind or whatnot. But when you get to know people and you know what kind of hearts they have and what kind of people they are, this dude right here, I would run through a brick wall for. And I just want to start that episode of Keeping It Rio by saying that about you, my friend, because I really appreciate that. And anything that we say beyond this point, just take that as a disclaimer. We're good people. Maybe we're about to get passionate. Maybe we're about to talk some shit. Who knows? But that's how I wanted to start the episode. So thank you without any hesitation. Dave Taggart, for anybody that doesn't know you, you're a world superstar, but some people don't watch the roofing sector very much. Tell my fans a little bit about what you got going on.
I am the I own a roofing company, and owning a roofing company was not something that I kind of had on my radar of shit I was going to accomplish in life. And accidentally found that I could take all of my, I said this the other day, it's now 22 years that I've been in residential construction. And I can take all of my failed attempts at finding something that I wanted to be good at in construction, and I added a piece called sales to it and figured out like, oh, there's a whole industry where I can be good and excel at something that I am passionate and have fun doing. And it was just off kind of like a rocket for me since then. Fast forward to today, I am blessed enough to have employees and independent contractors that rely on me to make good decisions to benefit their families. And I am very humbled that I've been able to take my years of experience and do something good with it. So that's where we are today. We are a roofing company here in San Antonio, Texas. And we also service, the New Braunfels and the Canyon Lake area and stuff. We've been specifically working very closely with a lot of our realtor referral partners as of late. And that's been a kind of an avenue shift that we've made inside of the business. That was kind of the most recent thing, right? And then developing, also some capabilities and some experience working on more complex commercial roofing systems. So life has just kind of come a long way since I found something that I might accidentally be fucking good at if I, worked hard. So
Right. And
that
dude,
is,
trust me, it's amazing to watch because in that picture I just spoke of from 3 years ago yesterday,
mhm,
A5 roofing was not even a thing at this point. So you're not even up to the
yeah,
third year of existence yet. And in this 2.5, 2 3/4 years of growth, it has been amazing, right? And I've been right here with you, kind of watching it as you go and seeing how things develop. Let's talk a little bit about it. You get the idea, like you
yeah,
said, you see this is something that I can do. And you were breaking out and you were already kind of, your personality was out there to the industry. People were seeing, man, this dude, he speaks the truth. He's not sugarcoating it, but you're getting a lot of valuable content. This guy's providing
yeah,
a lot of free education, which I respect that. And I think that's one of the things that we as, guys that have been in the industry 20 plus years really should be doing. And that stood out to me. So you make the decision to jump out and start your own
mhm,
company. You've got this vision, right? So let's start it at the very, very beginning. What
okay.
the hell hit you in the head that day that made you think,
I
man, this seems like a pretty cool thing, and this doesn't probably not going to take years off my life and cause me to stress out. But let's talk a little bit about how that initial concept of A5 came about.
Oh man. So when I first got into roofing sales, I kind of I admittedly don't really like working for other people a whole lot, right? So through my experience in construction and everything, fast forward, excuse me, rewind 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when I'm young and in the trades, right? I'm learning as much as I can from my journeyman because I want to make what my journeyman makes and I want to have that job. And then from there, it's got to be like the next job, right? So thinking about the end of the line is not something that's ever been new to me. I just was very limited in my mindset, thinking that, oh, unless I work my way up to be some sort of lead welter in the oil field, I'm never going to make 100K. This was just my mindset. And so, I've got carpal tunnel in both wrists, shoulders, knees, like name it. It fucking hurts, right? Because I've spent so much time in the trades, but I never wanted to be the tradesman. I always wanted to be that guy's boss's boss because those dudes had big, nice trucks and they wore crispy fucking jeans and boots to work every day. And that's the kind of stuff that I wanted. I never figured out quite how to get to that place in life. So when I got into roofing sales, the most important thing that I tried to do was learn as much as I could. And that even meant from the owners of the businesses that I was blessed enough to work for, what they were doing, what I thought was right, what I thought maybe was wrong, what could be improved. And my job was to be the sales manager. And so I brought all of my ideas and insights and the things that I've learned and the things that I've studied about sales and applied it to the sales teams, make sales teams better, right? More productive, more focused, more driven, more um, really heavy emphasis on building culture and things of that nature. And so I saw the things that I felt like were working for a business and what weren't working for a business. And I've always had a desire to want to be a part of something bigger than myself. And I found myself making a decision to leave a roofing company, and it wasn't an instantaneous thought that came across my mind. It wasn't like a split second decision where I said, okay, well, fuck it, I'm just going to open up a roofing company. And it was like 2 weeks later, and my wife and I were sitting down. I think Jacqueline and I had just been married, and she was like, honey, what are we going to do? We had a baby on the way. And we were living in Fort Worth. I was living in Fort Worth 3 days a week. And the other 4 days, I had an apartment that I rented in San Antonio because I had 50-50 custody of my daughters at the time. And I didn't want to give that up. So I was constantly traveling back and forth, and the bills were just like, through the roof. And I had walked away from this 6-figure salary, and it was it was just stressful. And the thought of reaching out to a couple of guys that I know in roofing uh, to get back into sales with a different company. I thought about sending a message over to Dustin Gutkowski. I thought about sending a message to the guys over at Lanier. I thought about sending messages to these companies that I felt like had strong culture. That's what I wanted to be a part of. And my wife, she told me, honey, I know that I tell you this all the time, but I really want you to understand something. And I remember we were sitting on the couch and she said, "You can do this if you wanted to. You could do this." And I was just like, I don't know if I'm that kind of guy that's willing to do something like that, you know? And I don't know. I just remember thinking, okay, if this is what we're gonna do, what are we gonna name it? I want it to. If this is what we're gonna do, then it's got to be important. It has to be something that I can wake up and be passionate about every day. And we didn't come up with the name instantly. There was like two or three different names that we thought of, like dumb shit.
Big
And
Dave's Roofing. I
yeah,
gotcha.
some like, Dave's Roof It, Texas Roofing Dave's, or I don't fucking dumb stuff. And when we left the job, I had my favorite car that I've from the trailer park, right? Trailer park Dave wanted an Audi, specifically an A5, a certain body style, a certain color, and a generation, and this is what I thought successful people drove. And I had an opportunity to get that car. Um, and the car was important to me because when I walked away from the job that I was at, I was now limited to my two-door black little fast car, right?
My A5,
My
baby.
A5.
Got to make it
And
happen.
yeah. And I remember taking that car to the dealership and I traded it in for the stepdaddest of all F-150s I could find. And it was like, it was just a humble little 2018, four-door F-150, single wheel, like rear wheel drive. There's nothing special about it. It was like all white, the interior was all tan. It was just an absolute stepdad of a pickup truck. And and that was the truck. And we were sitting around thinking about what we were going to name the business, and the A5 came up to my mind because rewind a few years earlier, I was sitting around joking with the owner of one of the companies on like a Zoom call or a group telephone call or something. We were in a meeting or something. And the joke of me starting my own company after my first 6 months of roofing sales, right? I'm going to go off and start my own company. And he was like, joking about me being able to go knock doors in an Audi, and you can't put a ladder in it, and what are you going to call the roofing company? A5 Roofing, ha ha ha. And as we were sitting around the dining room table one night, that fucking memory just popped into my mind, and it was like, we're going to call it A5 Roofing. And Jackie was like, run that by me. And I told her, I said, I had to get rid of the car, which I thought was the goal, and it ended up becoming a benchmark and a tool that I could use to do this. And so this has to mean something to me, or I'm not going to give a fuck about it. And that's where we got that from, and that's where we named the company from, because we want people, and we want our team and our employees to remember that this is something that we sacrificed for to get here, and this is going to mean something to us, because it's not about the destination, it's about the stepping stone. That becomes, whatever you're doing today becomes your stepping stone. And so the whole goal is to take that stepping stone and to be able to move forward. And this is something that we're very proud about. So,
Yes, and it's incredible that I love that story so much, because you've told me that before, but there's meaning. And like you said, dude, it is tough sometimes. I mean, I have a roofing company that we bought that
yeah.
already had a name, that already had a logo, that already had all of that stuff, and it was
But your
like,
colors
well,
were cool right off the bat. You didn't have to
yeah,
like
and
work on that. Those colors were
that was
dope.
the key. Is I had some cool colors, and it was like, all right, I
Yeah.
can definitely roll with this. And I think the fact that the company was already out of business when we got it the first time, that it really was kind of like my baby. And I think that helped me to be able to kind of have that passion for it. But
Right.
I know what you mean. Like, I would not love Chuck's Roofing. I don't think I could do it. There's a special
Yeah.
meaning behind Rio Blanco as well. And that's a whole story for another day. But
Yeah.
it gives you something to kind of think about. And so you've formulated the idea now. You've got A5 on your mind. You know why you're going to call it that. You've got this badass story behind the whole deal, and you start the company. Like you say, still pretty
That's the
new into
dumbest
sales,
fucking
and it's
decision
like,
I've ever made in my life,
well,
bro.
exactly. And I'm here to ask you again, like, did you hit yourself in the
Ooh,
head that morning? Like, boom, what the hell? Let's just
no.
go through a whole bunch of stress and let's just deal with all kinds of nonsense and let's commit to this 100% and let's bring a bunch of people into it so we can make it even bigger, right?
Yeah.
And that's the key. So when you're starting a company, obviously, like you said, you've got your wife, Jackie, and she does a lot of the stuff on the back end that people don't know about, and she's
A lot.
very, very intelligent and super capable. So it's not like you're just doing this by yourself and you're out here winging it, trying to figure it out. You've got a good, solid foundation. You've got a great team there. But as you want to grow your business, you've got to start bringing people in.
Yeah.
And this historically is where things start to get exciting with roofing companies. When you start to grow, you start
Oh,
to bring
man.
in new characters, new personalities. These things sometimes they blend and everybody's awesome and you just take off and you go like gangbusters. Sometimes you get a person that comes in that's maybe not quite right for the culture. Maybe one or two people come in and kind of screw things up a little, and you've got to step back and make decisions. So let's talk about it, Mr. CEO. I've been through this myself. I mean, I know
I
how this
know.
goes. It
Yeah.
sucks, but
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to have tough conversations with
Ooh.
people. And believing that you're doing what's right is sometimes hard, and you've got to convince yourself. But let's chat about it, buddy. What's it like, man? You ever had these
Man.
situations where you've got people that come in and maybe for whatever reason they're good people, they've got good hearts, but it just doesn't work for whatever reason?
Yeah.
And what's the thought process behind keeping moving forward and not getting your stuff self stagnant or having negative consequences of personality clashes?
Well, you have to be you have to be extremely careful. And I don't know. I had a conversation with one of the owners of Blue Hammer Roofing just yesterday, and we were kind of discussing this. I don't know if it's possible to care too much about your company culture that it can detriment the company itself. I don't know if that's possible. I'm not closed off to that being possible, because maybe I over police my company culture and it prevents people from moving forward with us. What I see is that the people that are in line with the company culture and that are doing, they're following our core values, which are our guide stones in our decision making process, our behavior, the things that we do. Like, this really means something to a very small group of us, is very passionate about what we have. And sometimes people don't like, they don't, they're not getting in the river and going with the flow of they join the company because they think it's cool and they want to do this, but then they don't understand it's not really about sales. Sales is just a byproduct of what we do here.
That's the
Right.
fun part. Yeah.
Like that, the sales, the door-to-door stuff, the making money, the building roofs, the construction, that's a fun part of what we do here. But what we do here is we grow, and growth sometimes makes people uncomfortable. So, for us, it's like having a conversation with somebody and reminding them for the fourth time that they need to take the exact same photograph. That conversation needs to not happen 5, 6, 7 times. Once we've taught you something, we've discussed this, what we need, right? Like, if there's something that must be done, I'll see, for instance, a piece of paper on the floor, and I know that my guys that are here in this office, I know that if they see the paper on the floor and it doesn't belong there, they're picking it up before they just walk past it. Like, they will do the shit that it takes to make sure that they can take pride in the space that's theirs. And that's cool. I love that about the company. And so we hold the people here to a certain standard in their production, their day-to-day activity. People say, oh, that's wrong, you can't hold them. No, that's fine. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you this is what we are doing. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but this is what we are doing. Over here, we're doing this. And you can do the U program as long as you want to, until one day it doesn't work out for us. Because we are all rowing the boat in the same direction here. And everybody is damn proud of what we've built. So you have to be careful about having people treat your business like it's a clubhouse. They're independent contractors that will come in and out every 65 days or every 30 days or every 45 days. And that's fine. I guess some companies love to have 35 sales guys, but only 9 of them actually work 5 days a week. Right. But they've got 35 sales guys.
Yeah. Numbers
That's
game.
great. Yeah, that's great. That's, you just, you have to protect that. And I'm in a place where I'm trying to figure out, or I'm at least learning, can you hold too high of a standard, and that limits the amount of people that are actually going to come to your company? Because maybe, right? Maybe, this is, this is real fucking important to us over here. And
you know what? The reality of the
you
matter
know,
is it's what you're willing to accept
yeah,
and how big you want it to get. Because as
yeah,
everything gets bigger, we all know, nothing can stay as cohesive when it's got 5 people as it does when it has 50. That
right,
just the law of averages and the way that things work, it's going to get more convoluted. You're going to have those
yeah.
issues. So
Like,
at
if
what
we go
point do you
door
look? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if we go out door knocking together as a team and we're all trying to ride in the same truck, because we know where all 4 of us go, we're all going, and nobody's quitting until the 4th guy's like, fuck it, I've had enough,
Yep.
and so we're going to go out together and we're going to do this activity, and it's all going to fucking suck, but we're going to make it fun because this is what we do. And we'll go out together, and there's always, the 5th or the 6th guy that drives by himself. He's always the guy that wants to go drive by himself, right? And then
Always
he's
got to take
20.
piss breaks and
Yeah,
yeah.
bro. 20 minutes out in the field, and then he's got to head back, and those guys don't make it long. And maybe there's a place for them. It's just not here. And you've got to be quick about that shit.
Well, and I think the culture does just that. When you've got 4 people in one that are cohesive, that are working as a unit, and you've got the other one that's just kind of straggling along, not quite up to par, those have a tendency to police themselves right out the door, which is
Yeah.
kind of the cool thing about that. And the truth of the matter is, like you say, is it possible to care too much? No, it's not, dude. It's not. You've built a company that's got, like you said, you're carrying, there are hundreds of lives that depend on you. Hundreds. And that's just a couple years in, as you continue to grow, you're going to teach and reach thousands of people. You're going to impact people's lives for years to come. So taking that very seriously is a huge, huge deal. And
Appreciate
the
that.
one thing that I always love to ask people, because I go to a lot of roofing companies and I talk to a lot of owners about this stuff all the time. Do you ever make any exceptions, or would you make an exception if you had someone that came in that's a straight up badass, just boom, 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 boom. Check it out, Dave. I signed 5 deals 5 days in a row. I just picked up $1 million apartment complex. Oh, whatever. I'm not going to go out door knocking because I don't need to do that because, look at what I just signed. Anybody that's, a little bit sketchy or borderline as far as affecting your culture, would you as an owner be willing to sacrifice any of that on your end for the benefit of making them bucks?
Bro, let me tell you, there's at least one of them gonna see this video before 12 a.m. Like, yeah, there's 100%, man. If I'm being honest with you, I have walked away from relationships with people that were contributors. They were active dudes. They were, high producing sales guys. And I've always said this, and I've always said it's not about the fucking money. I promise you, it's not about the
If it
money.
was,
Like,
we sure wouldn't be
yeah,
doing what we're doing.
yeah, I'd be rich as fuck if it was about the money, right? The God's honest truth is, it's never been about the money. And so if what this person brings to the table is money, but there's very low culture value, that's got to change. Like, that has to be addressed. The behavior, if you're a cancerous to the team, or if you're toxic, or you like to stir up shit, and you're all about drama and stuff, that's not any part of what we've designed here. And so if that's what comes, then we have to take care of that. And I have absolutely 100% walked away from $1 million producers because it just didn't, it was not okay. And,
Yep.
and again, very protective of what we built. So it's not that was not the first time. It was, and it's, it wasn't the last. And yeah, you have to be very careful about what you tolerate. Because if you think it's going to cause you a problem now, wait till it gets a year down the road and you've let it go for a long time. Like that's one of the things that I have learned in business, is how easy it is to separate relationships with people. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be pain-free or easy. It just means that there is a process for doing it. As long as you stick to that process, then it doesn't have to be difficult. It can be a part of a process. Okay. You have to make sure that you separate those relationships the right way, and to do your best to keep your side of the street as clean as possible. Um, but you have to separate some relationships, and you're going to get good at it after a while. The first time I ever had to fire somebody, I called a buddy of mine and I said, "Hey, what was this like?" And I was talking to a dude that was in Afghanistan in his early 20s, and he had spent some years over there, and he said firing somebody is a lot like killing someone for the first time. He said the first time you do it, all you think about is their family. You think about, all the good times. You think about, all these other things. And he said, but about the fourth or fifth time, it gets a little bit easier. And I was like, well, that's fucked up, but I've taken the correlation. He was an extremely sharp and troubled young man. But the story still, again, was that it's difficult, and it's sometimes it's painful. But if you want to be the captain of your ship, you have to make sure that everybody on the ship is safe. And that even means from your own officers, if you would, you have to protect the culture of the company, and you have to protect everyone else that's inside of it too. Not just the people that you think are, oh, this guy's so great, or, oh, I've known this dude for so long, and shit like that. It
You're
becomes much
only as
bigger
good
than you.
as what you're willing to tolerate, and they always say
Yeah.
your weakest link is what you are. So it's
Yep.
good to know that. And I always agree. I've let go some people that have done wonderful things in their careers, and there have been people that have come into the office that have bragged and boasted about what they could do, and they never even got an opportunity because it's just like, I don't feel like
Yeah.
this is going to be a good fit just right off the bat. And I'm like you. I'd rather be sane and like fairly normal than rich. Uh, and I'm doing
Yeah.
a good job of it, I guess. I'm fairly sane and normal, and I'm certainly not rich, but we're having
Yeah.
a good time doing this. And as you've built your culture over the 2.5 years, we've talked a lot about finding the right people to put in places. You are a natural born leader. I think anybody that follows you on the social media channels sees that on a regular basis. And as a leader who's focused, who's not willing to take any bullshit, and is willing to sacrifice, the relationship portion to continue to develop the team and to build the company, along comes growth. And when I was at your house last Thanksgiving, before we ate dinner, you took me on a truck ride over to your brand new facility, your first office that you were getting for A5. I believe you just said you're at your office now.
It
And
is.
this is a big deal, right? So it's 2 years in existence for your company. You've
Yeah.
basically made leaps and bounds to where you've got yourself a facility now. You're thinking long term, you've put your team in place. Tell me a little bit about your thought process when you get from, I'm feeling good. You're running your meetings over here in Stone Oak at like a shared type facility,
Yeah.
thinking smart. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, if we're going to make this happen, we need to do it. So boom, push everything in. Tell me about the thought process behind jumping in at this
Oh,
stage of your
fuck.
company and getting the facility. Because it's a
Man, so
badass
that was
facility, ladies and gentlemen. I like
it's
that
pretty
spot.
cool. It's pretty dope. It is phenomenal. I love it. I'm very much in love with this place. It's just, it has a lot of purpose, and it has a lot of um I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens in here, and it's really cool to be in this space. I do my best thinking when I'm in here. We created a space that was going to be everything that we wanted our first office place to be. And that's exactly what I think we fucking built here. And we built it because we knew that we were going to need an area for a large team to get together and do different things at, whether it was just laptops on the conference table for them to come in and use anytime they want to, hook up to the Wi-Fi, these badass recliner chairs over here in the coffee table. They can sit over here in the lounge and watch the TV or use the interactive display board if they're trying to look over something with another teammate on Job Nimbus. There's for the guys that come and work out in the morning, we've got 2 big strength and fitness centers on both sides of us. So like these dudes are out here working out all the time. And, me and 2 of my guys, we meet up early in the morning and we run 2 miles up and down this big hill in front of our office. Like there's a lot more than just roofing happens in here. Now we got a project to make a cold plunge. We went to the Tractor and Supply Company. We bought a big tub, and I'm going to order this chiller on Amazon, and we got all these plumbing parts on the way, and we're going to make this ice bath over here. So this space, right, has become so much more than just an office, and it was the largest purchase we've ever had. It is our largest piece of overhead. That's 100% individual piece. I mean, you could take the trucks and the insurance and add that shit together, and it's like fucking astronomical. But still, the office was not a small purchase. That was not a small thing that we did. And we thought about getting a larger space, and we actually talked down to this space. And then I felt like 4 or 5 months into it, I was like, hey, we're going to need a bigger space. Like we're 4 months into this space, and that was about winter. And winter was also the time that we separated 2 relationships that were, again, high producers. And I started learning some lessons as a business owner, right? Like if there's the shockwave comes after you have to separate those relationships. There's a 90-day period where you don't see the repercussions of eliminating 20% of your gross, right? Like that's a big hit. Yeah, it takes a minute to get there. And then so we learned that lesson. And this is like, I think why, the advice that new business owners get is to, don't get too big too fast, right? Is because you're in your 3rd year of business. And so the things that you're learning in your 3rd year of business, you're just catching up on from the shit you did in your 2nd year of business. Like it takes a while for the trends, especially in the timeline that we're at. This is heads up to all you smart motherfuckers that think you're going to go open up roofing companies. It takes time to see the financial consequences of the decision you made in January of 2023, because that shit doesn't show up in your business until November or December. If you're lucky and you see it fast enough, you can deal with it maybe in 90 days. But good luck, because you've never been a business owner, so nobody fucking tells you, right? There's no yield
tell you
sign.
Anything, bro.
Nobody tells you this shit,
buddy.
Yeah, record this free game.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun, and learning on the fly is great for sure. And what the hell? I mean, it teaches you what you're all about, and what you got going on in your mind and your heart and all that. And you bring up a very, very, very good point. And this is something I definitely wanted to touch base on. So we do get an influx in our industry because of all the different variables, especially here in Texas, no licensing. So really, I make the joke to my homeowners sometimes, like, Mrs. Jones, you could go start a roofing company tomorrow and you could be just as credible in the eyes of the world as I am after 25 years. But it's not really a joke, dude. That's kind of the truth. And I think what happens is you really hit the nail on the head, and you are the epitome of what not to do conventionally thinking, but you defy conventional wisdom and you made it successful. So I tell people, if you've been doing sales for 6 months, you probably don't want to start a roofing company yet. You probably want to work with someone for a while, figure out what's going on, maybe partner up with someone and
get your sales up
learn and
first.
shadow and figure all that stuff out, because it's a lot harder than just going and nailing shingles.
The cool thing about, let's jump in. The cool thing about having sales experience and how it correlates to owning a roofing company, both of those two, your jobs as a salesperson and your job as a business owner, are completely dependent on sales. So if you haven't figured out sales to the best of your capabilities, to the point where you're like, okay, let me go learn how to do this other type of sales, and this, not a different industry, but a different
I've
method,
mastered this.
I've mastered this strategy, right? Like, I can always go to this well and shit out new deals from this. Let me figure out another way to do it, and another way. If you're not to that point in sales, stick to that shit, and then figure out how leadership works and how to manage and grow a team. Because unless you can learn sales and leadership, you're not going to fucking run a business for very long. I promise you that. Because those two things are absolutely mandatory in either job roles.
Yes. And okay, let me ask this. This is going to be one of those questions where it's like, what about the adverse effect of that? Let's say that you're really outstanding at sales and you can go out and produce a ton of deals, and we get hit with a major hailstorm. Let's say San Antonio gets hit, and top sales rep decides, now's my moment, dude. I'm about to go make it happen.
Rise and shine.
This is another situation. Okay. So like big money on this side of things, but the things that people don't think about are, you got to pay all your bills on the front end. Then you got to wait for the insurance company to send you money. So let's talk about that. Okay. Because you said you came straight from sales into ownership. We don't get in a major situation with any storms, but as soon as we get that first wave, game on, dude. A5's hitting social media. You're all over the place. I see your ads. You're out there in the community helping people. But dude, you can't go any further than what you can go with the resources that you've been allotted.
Yeah, that's true.
I tell people, distribution isn't going to give you $1 million credit line because you're Dave from A5 and you just started up and you're going to be a beast.
Bro,
how do you manage that?
You have to use your fucking profits. Duh. I mean, like, that's the responsible thing to do, is to use your profits. And that's, you're basically cash flowing the next job with your money when you're starting out. I think the first line of credit we got was with SRS, and they were like, oh, 20 grand. And I was like, the fuck is this I'm going to be able to build 3.5 roofs, guys. Like, that's probably it. But they were like, hey, that's your problem. That's not our, it is what it is, bro. You're a brand new business, and, nobody knows what's going to happen. And it is what it, don't take it personal, but at least we're offering you 20K. And I was like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah, let's ride with that and make it happen, right?
Yeah, because you're going to need that in your distribution partnerships. You know what I mean? At first they're going to give you like net 15, and you're going to have to do what you got to fucking do. So
make it happen.
And they don't take credit cards either, homie. They're not trying to let you pay your bill on a credit card neither. They want cash. So that's the first part of cash flow that new business owners are going to understand. Which means if you're going to maintain positive cash flow, you have to have an effective sales system. But that part alone, and then having to cough up half of your insurance up front because you're a brand new business and nobody knows you, they want their money regardless. And roofing insurance, like, for real coverage to make sure that
cheap, right?
Super cheap. Yeah. No, dude, if you're not paying at least $900 a month, I'm saying like at least $900 a month, you have dog shit for insurance coverage. Like, if you scratch the paint on the garage door, you're losing everything, and your homeowners are going to get sued when your labor guy steps on a nail in their yard. Like, it's dog shit insurance. It's not, and that's what 99% of San Antonio is running around with, by the way, because the city of San Antonio,
the ones that are,
they're only required to have 2 conditions. Like, it's $1 million aggregate and a $2 million whatever the hell. And I think they have to have, like, the city of San Antonio doesn't check for shit. So that they just, you can
No.
get a handyman's insurance license and go there. But if you want to play with the big boys and get open roof endorsements and, you know, torch applied, you know, open flame, blah, 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 all these other things, this costs money, right? Which means you have to be profitable or you have to have money up front in order to do so. And so it's not, yeah, it's difficult, man. Jumping out. Like if you're really going to do it and you're going to do it at a high level and you want it to last, it's fucking difficult. It's not fun. It was, and I made way more money when I was a sales guy every year.
Nobody
Like
ever believes me when
real.
I say that,
They're,
but it is so true. Same here.
Know.
I've never made the same amount in a year.
The taxes are fucking extremely different, dude.
It's so great, but hey, it's the chosen path, and I love it. And what the hell would I do if I had a normal job? I'm like you. I can't work for other people, so I had to do this. There was really nothing else I could do because as someone that thinks he knows everything, sometimes I don't play well with others. Sometimes I have, you know, difficulty with those things, and it's a lot of stress, but it's also what we love. And you're leaving behind a legacy. You're building a team, like we said. You're helping a bunch of people, and you're leading from the front. You're one of those people in the roofing industry specific who is very visible. You're not afraid to make a video that calls out somebody. We called out the city of San Antonio right now for their lackadaisical inspection process as it is, which is non-existent. Do you ever buy? Well, I shouldn't say do you ever, because of course we all do. Get permits from San Antonio for every job, and then find out
if they're inside the city. Yeah, if they're inside the city, so we can build the insurance company for those.
Absolutely.
You know, that is a billable line item 100%. And what it does for our homeowners, it gives them peace of mind that we're complying with all the rules. Like we want to play on a high level.
We're doing everything in our power.
Same thing in the city of Shirts, in Universal City for us, and in Castle Hills, in Hollywood Park. You know, if and we're, you know, inside or outside of New Braunfels, just depends, right? Where you're at with the city of Seguin. Like, yeah, we do this, and we want to make our reputation known for playing on that high level. Because when my guys go to neighborhoods and they knock on doors versus somebody else's guys, the guys in the street know that we're fucking playing for keeps. And so they're going to have to either come with a larger value, a more purpose-driven interaction, or they're going to have to eat their own fucking profit margins to compete with my team.
And that's it.
That's it. You know, chumps, you know, but no, and we don't win them all, right? I'm not going to say that my guys are the absolute best, but when we go out there, that's what our minds are on. And so that's why as a company, we compete on a high level, because we know our team wants to compete. They want to be a part of a team that competes at a high level. Yeah.
That's what impresses me about your team. And every time I've been around your guys, you know, it's been for the last 2 years. I've been in the field. I've been in meetings and stuff. And what always impresses me is there's a willingness to go out there and like be the visible people. Park your A5 highly visible trucks at the front of the neighborhood and be like, what's up? Come get some of this. You know who we are. We don't know who you are. And I think that's badass, because that mentality is very hard to develop for people. Doing the door knocking is hard. You've got to be a special kind of person for that. And you're a very motivational guy. I mean, I've heard some of your motivational speeches before, and, you know, we've seen some of them on our Facebook posts. And what I was going to ask you about that is that goes, you know, one of two directions. There's the people that say, hey man, there is no such thing as bad publicity or bad visibility. And then there's another school of thought that's like, well, you know what? Maybe some of the things are maybe considered like offensive to certain people, or maybe it alienates a sector of potential business. What are your thoughts on that? Number one, do you ever get anybody that says, hey, Dave, I saw this video where you were bagging on this adjuster, or you were talking crap about something that was going on, and I just didn't like that? Or are people like, dude, you're refreshing as hell, because like Best Damn Roofer told me, when he got canceled, his business like went insane because people appreciated that more than the fake outrage or whatever comes behind, you know, the opinion of a roofer. I mean, you're one of my best buddies, but at the end of the day, we are what we are. And does it ever surprise you first that your opinions can be, so polarizing towards our industry or others? And what kind of blowback do you ever get, if any?
Well, first of all, when you do something in front of God and everybody, right? In public, posting on social media, trying to create a brand, focusing on your business, you understand that you are going to get all kinds of attention, good and bad. And you have to be focused on what you're doing so much that the bad attention, the negative attention does not take you away from what your mission is. It doesn't mean that it's not going to hurt. It doesn't mean that you're not going to see something that upsets you. It doesn't mean that somebody's not going to be talking about you behind your back. It just means that you have to be willing to deal with that shit for the good of what it is you're trying to accomplish. It's fucking part of it. And not everybody is going to like what you have to say. There are times where things that I have said have caused my sales guys to lose business. I made a comment about my personal beliefs on a pretty hot topic, and a lady that saw my comment on a Facebook post left a 1-star review for my company on Google, and said that I was these, like, I was a threat to this particular group of people, and and so on and so forth. It was just she didn't like how I felt about gender, and that's fine. She doesn't have to agree with me. And I chose to respond to the review, and I just let her know, hey, listen, you have the First Amendment right to say and to do whatever you want to, and that's fine. I just want you to please respect our First Amendment right to say what we believe as well. And that's it. Enjoy your American freedoms, love, peace, chicken grease. And you have to be very clear about who you are. And if my customers don't know exactly what level of person they are getting when they work with A5, then all they have to do is look on YouTube, Facebook, or Google, and they'll see exactly who the fuck we are. Like, if I lose business because him wants to call me her, he wants to call me they, I just, ma'am or sir, pick one. That's all I'm here for. I just want to look at your fucking roof either way.
Just trying to put on some shingles, buddy.
Hey, man, I'm just trying to, oh, ma'am, no, you don't want that? Cool. Now my customer, see you later. I'm not here to play games. Like, it's, first of all, I don't have, before I get canceled,
on Keepin It Rio.
Yeah, right, on Keepin It Rio. I have to remember that I need to be true to who I am at all times, and even if that means I might hurt somebody's feelings, oh fucking well, like, that's okay. Your feelings can be hurt, but your feelings can be hurt from over there, and we can't hear you from over here. That's fine. But yeah, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to take the attention, both the good and the bad. And it might cost you, it might hurt you, it might inconvenience you, but at the end of the day, everybody around you knows exactly who you are and exactly what you're made of. And that's what I want our company and my family and my children and my wife and the people that rely on me to make good business decisions every day so they can feed their children. I want them to know exactly who the fuck I am all the time.
There you go. And the people the people that you attract are your people, and that's the way it works. And I've often found that people that I don't agree with or don't agree with me usually end up being terrible customers. So that's a very good take on it. And I appreciate that, because I have a lot of friends that are personalities on social media that, myself included, we sometimes say things, and somebody that we've never met before will go way out of their way to try to ruin everything based on just not believing in the same thing or just disagreeing. And It's
Yeah, it's
tough.
wild. We have, I think we have, as a culture and as Americans and all kinds of good stuff, I think we've forgotten how to peacefully disagree with each other. We think that every, dislike or thing of opposite idea needs to be like the hill that we die on. It doesn't. It just means that we need to understand, I think, more often, to learn how to peacefully agree that other people might have other ideas. We just need to pick the collective one that's not dumb. And we need to just kind of all agree that, hey, this is the group idea. This is what the most of us think we need to be doing. And and then I think, we'd have a lot less awkward conversations.
Yeah, it's interesting out there in modern times for sure.
Yeah.
But hey, it's the time that we
Yeah.
chose to live in, I guess. And
I
we
didn't
all
pick
we all
this.
decided to be here. Yeah.
God gave me this, brother.
I
I
don't know
didn't I
what
didn't
happened,
pick
man. I've
this.
been
You
here
know
for
what
a
I mean?
long time, and I feel
I
like it
showed up
wasn't
one day and
always.
it was like, here I am. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
awesome. One day I'm going to be hanging out on a podcast. So I love that. I try to keep my episodes like around an hour, but I want to check with you because I got a few other things I'd like to discuss. Like,
Let's go.
okay, so this next topic is a little bit of a deviation. It's maybe a little bit of a personal type situation.
Ooh, fun.
And you shared some of this with the world, but like I started the episode with last year, Thanksgiving, you invited me over to your home for Thanksgiving dinner. I
Yeah.
pull up to a brand new home that the Taggarts have just purchased, have moved into, and it's a beautiful place. I love it,
Mhm.
dude. We're hanging out, we're having a good time, cooking out, doing whatever. Well, a little bit of time goes by, a few weeks or whatever, and I see that you had something happen there at the house. And I wanted to kind of get your story on how, what that's like to go through that kind of a scenario. As
Mhm.
contractors, obviously we go through it on one end, but you've now gone through this on both ends because there was a fire at your brand new home.
Yeah.
And that's a freaking pain in the ass for one, but you've got a family, you just moved in, you got all this to deal with. Tell us a little bit, within reason. I'm not asking you to tell me all the terrible, details, but a little bit about this experience and how you've handled it with your family and how things have gone for you as far as the rebuilding and taking care of all that process.
Well, it was, another day at the office for us, kind of, dealing with insurance companies and coordinating subcontractors to get things done right. Except for we couldn't live in our own home for 74 days. And it was 74 days bouncing between Airbnbs like every 3 weeks. We had to pack up our 3 kids and move to another Airbnb in the middle of school year. So it really kind of taught us a lot about what our customers are experiencing when their home has a fire, and we're the contractors coordinating the kitchen and the tile guys and the flooring guys and things of that nature. It gave me an opportunity to see all the stuff that I've been telling my homeowners they need to do, and their rights and responsibilities under, under just how your insurance company is designed to work for you. Not their policy. We don't talk about that. I can't talk about that. I can talk about my shit all day long. And
Yep.
so
That's why I
when
asked
my
you.
house, so when my house caught on fire and I had the first conversation with my insurance adjuster, it was just like, I told him, I said, Jim, how long you been doing this? And he said, well, I've been doing this, 46 years or something like that. It's a long ass time.
Since
I
last
said, cool.
Tuesday. Yep.
Right. I said, cool. So you understand my deductible's $1,000, brother. So anything else above and beyond that, until I get my brand new, beautiful home exactly back and I get to move my shit back in, it's on you. Every invoice that I incur, I'm not going to argue with the shit. I'm not going to sit around here and pretend like you don't have to approve them once my signature's on this motherfucker. I'm getting an invoice for tile flooring in my kitchen, and if it comes out to $6,200 and I sign that, USA is paying it. And that's exactly, he said, David, I understand you do this. You know exactly how your policy works. Send me the invoices and I will update the claim file. And I was like, you got it. Because any fucking around, any deviation from that specific plan, and you should be contacting a lawyer. And that is not my legal advice. That is my personal advice. That is, chop it up, record it, make a reel out of that shit.
I
But
will. You
you
know I'm gonna do
absolutely,
that.
yeah,
These
you
are gold.
absolutely, you should pay your contractor your deductible amount for that cause of loss, and then take the invoice and turn around and email it to your adjuster and say, please update the claim file accordingly. Thank you. That is it. If they respond back with, well, I don't want to do and da 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 and all this and that shit, nope, I'm not trying to hear it. Then you are not doing what you promised in your policy to me, Mr. Insurance Company. That plain and simple. If you want to go that right, I'm calling a fucking lawyer. Like I was not even fixing to play games with these people because this was my house.
Right. And I think that background of having to be the guy who sees other homeowners have to deal with it and all the pitfalls that they deal with, it
100%.
inspires you, right? And it's like, dude, okay, well, I ain't gonna get done like those people because they even thought they got a good deal. And I feel for them. So you went through the process, you came out on the other end as an educated homeowner. The valuable lesson that we can learn from this whole thing is that David Taggart's been doing this with insurance for many years. He's worked hundreds, probably thousands of claims, and he understands those things, right? And here recently, okay, this is kind of a segue into the next topic because I know as roofing contractors, a lot of our business is due to the insurance proceeds, being paid to us through claims for storm related damages. Now, something I've been harping on for the last year plus is this huge change that I think is starting to sweep over the insurance market and how it pertains to what we do as roofers. Nowadays, for years, I've been doing this 26 years. You just 22 have been in the business and seen how these things have gone, right?
Yeah.
And it's historically, you go out, you get some people, you go knock on doors after a storm hits, and you say, hey, Mr. Homeowner, we're going to go up and give you an inspection. If we find enough damage, yada, yada, all you're going to have to pay is your deductible, and your insurance will take care of the rest.
Right.
Well, you and I both know this isn't really happening like that anymore. And things are starting to shift to where people are getting different coverages. They're getting different types of protections. Things are being taken away based on age versus, you've never filed a claim, but we're going to drop you and so on and so forth. And for me, it's kind of dangerous right now because I think a lot of people are still in the old mentality. We'll do it for what the insurance covers. Don't train the people well enough to understand some of the pitfalls that you could find. So let me ask you, number one, where do you see the insurance industry going as it pertains to what we do over the course of the next 5 years? And how do you adjust accordingly with your team, with your sales practices, with the way that you're doing business to make sure that you can maintain and continue to move forward?
Okay. Hot take number one. I think private equity is probably a really bad thing for construction contractors. It may be very, very, very appealing to have somebody come in and throw millions of dollars of cash at you. But remember, small business owners, the insurance industry is changing and it's run by financial investors. These are the same people that are powering the private equity companies coming to buy your asses up. So they're not working to your benefit. It's like the pyramid scheme's only really going to benefit the people at the top. Okay. So this is conspiracy theory, Dave, putting, two and two together. The same people that own a majority of the houses in the United States now, these financial institutions own investment, they own property, they own this real estate, and then through inflation and through a crazy real estate market, they overinflate the value of the homes, which raises all the premiums, which raises all the deductible limits on customers who now in a $20,000 roof would have cost them 4 years ago $1,500 through their homeowners insurance. Now a $20,000 roof cost, their deductible would be 3 times, 2 times that, with just not understanding what their insurance policy is. And so they have insurance on a property that they would never see an actual recovery on should there be any loss, because the policy is written for the value of the home created by people that run the insurance companies any damn ways. So it's a big game of fuckery is really what it is between the real estate market and the insurance markets. And now we've got the private equity companies coming in and swooping all these folks up because they understand the insurance company is going to change in order to recoup their losses to a sort of in-house MRP program where they have specific contractors that agree to do shit for 80 cents on the dollar, and it is going to be what it's going to be. And these are all the big, large, massive private equity companies. These private equity companies are coming in and buying 4, 5, 6 different little small companies, making one big brand. Dude, they're going to be the first ones in the door. You know what I mean? And so for the
Absolutely.
rest of us, the rest of us that kind of aren't on that train, or we're not in that club, or we're not, you don't have 45 sales reps yet, right? Nobody's trying to buy your ass with 7 sales reps and you're doing 90% insurance restoration. The companies that are getting bought are the ones that have a dominant retail side of their business, number one. Number two, they have to have quite a few sales guys putting in and getting shit done the way that it's supposed to be done. I don't see that being good for the industry. Like, not for the blue collar American that wants to start a roofing business.
Yeah, it's changing a lot of things, and you really hit the nail on the head there. So here's hot take number 2. I've been preaching this as well to people, and some people think I'm crazy, but I've seen this happen on a much smaller scale, actually in real life one time. And my thing that I've been looking at lately is, again, relative to the insurance world and MRPs and how these things develop. But a couple months back, I wake up and I look on my Facebook or whatever, and they're like, Home Depot has just purchased the number 2 SRS, the number 2 largest building materials distributor in the United States. And I'm thinking to myself immediately, well, wait a minute. That seems kind of unique and kind of interesting. And from that moment, my initial thought was, well, that just became probably the biggest roofing contractor in the United States, because now
the distribution.
Yeah.
It's all about the distribution. SRS independently has a bunch of little independent brands that are a part of the larger SRS, right?
Yep.
And when Home Depot was like, hey, we have the trucks, we have the facility, we see a lot of this stuff going on in the market. We know that there's a lot. Like, you don't think that they noticed a shit ton of roofing companies popping up in the last like 10 years?
Absolutely.
You don't think that they were like, oh, damn, we're selling a lot of shingles. Hey, how are these dudes getting so many roofing jobs? Oh, they're doing insurance work. Hey, they say they're doing insurance restoration work now. Crazy, isn't it? Wow. We should get in on that too. Like, it's not fucking rocket science.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where anybody that looks at you and says, no, man, that's not what's going on at all. It's like, dude, for real.
What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, of course.
And I see
that all
these
people are retarded.
Well, exactly, and it's like, here comes another wave, and you just hit the nail on the head. Okay, the big boys who are currently putting themselves in position for the next 10 years or however long this wave is going to be.
They're absolutely having these conversations.
Oh my God. And it's coming. Okay. So then I ask people this, well, why is that so far-fetched, and how does it screw over a small roofing contractor? And here's how. We all know about the house bill here in Texas, right? We got to collect our deductible. You and I got to go up there. It's the law, baby. We also know that on page 2, it says at their discretion that these guys can waive them, for whatever reason they see fit. So to me, it's like, well, okay, if you go with so-and-so versus going with Dave Taggart, you don't have to pay your deductible, we say. And that's a quick way to instantly start weeding people out, right? Legally doing so. And I don't know, maybe that's controversial in someone's eyes, but seems like common sense to me. And the second that bill came through, it was like, dude, I wish someone would have turned to page 2 and read the second paragraph about how that could all go down, because it didn't really benefit any of us. And it was like, give that 5 years and see the repercussions of what we all are celebrating. And here we are 5 years later looking at it from a different perspective. So we've got that all going on. You hit the nail on the head when you said, dude, I'm not a part of that club. My company's 2.5 years old. I got 7 reps. I'm building something badass, but I don't appeal to that. I myself personally have no appeal, and they don't, nobody's looking at me at the moment. I want to continue to build my brand. I want to continue to do what I'm doing. And I've got a vision in my head for how to successfully do it. You've obviously got a huge vision. And with all these things that we're working with, tell me a little bit about that vision. How's A5 going to continue to grow as things evolve, as that becomes more muddy water, as that process becomes more difficult, how do you continue to move forward as a company and in this industry as a whole?
I think, it starts and ends with the people inside of the operation. I think my biggest obligation as the owner and the CEO of a company is to build great people inside of my organization. So whether that's going out into the field and knocking with them and being in the truck and in the streets, and that's, leading from the front or whatever, to spending one-on-one time with them when they've been busting their ass, or maybe they've been having a bad week, or they've just got something going on that's stopping them from, getting what their goals are that week or that month. Stepping out of boss Dave and stepping into coach Dave is really cool. And that's a fucking honor for me to be able to play this part in some of these men and women lives. And I think how we continue to grow is we continue to be the place that people know that they're actually cared about, like they're actually empowered. We are actually teaching people things and stuff, continuing their education and their knowledge and skill sets. So they're learning how to build relationships. They're learning how construction and sales works, and how the things that make them successful in sales can go home with them at the end of the day and make them better husbands, make them better wives, make them better sons and daughters. Like, it's not just about roofing. And focusing on doing that as much as possible for as many people that wake up and that think, hey, I'm accomplishing this or I'm doing this, but I feel like I'm supposed to be made for more. And those are the kinds of people that we're like, okay, if that's how you feel, come over here and let's see, right? Like, we want to find out too. If that's you, we want to know. And we want to have that conversation with you, because if that's what you're about and that's what you want, there's a fucking place for you here. And
I love it.
That, I think it's always been about the people. I don't know any other way to become a multimillionaire unless you create other millionaires first. Like that, my biggest job is to make them great, phenomenal people. Phenomenal, impactful, and skillful people are very well paid. And that is just a fucking law of nature.
It's a simple fact of life.
Yeah,
That's
simple
it. You
fact of
know,
life.
smart people are rich,
Yeah.
and rich people seem
The
to be
more
pretty
value
smart.
you create, man, the more money you make. Plain and
No
simple.
doubt. And that's wow, $1 million advice right there. And that's some amazing stuff, changing lives for everything. I'm starting to get ready to wind this thing down. But the last topic I want to discuss with you, Dave Taggart, number one, like I said, thank you for being here, man. You're a great friend. You're a wonderful person that does a lot for the industry. You are building a company the right way. You're doing things the way that it's supposed to be done. I your social media presence and all that stuff is on point. You've got yourself really going in the right direction. And this last question is sort of relative to business, but it's also like kind of like a personal question. You're sitting at a obvious location where you have done your podcast, Roofing Underground, and you've been doing this podcast for a while now, coming up on a couple years, I'm thinking, or maybe even a little bit more. It's been a while since you've been doing it.
Yeah.
And I've had some people that come at me and are like, dude, you think you're some kind of whatever because you do this podcast and blah, 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 blah. And I don't. Like, I don't give a shit if anybody's watching, really. To me, I'm talking to my buddy and we're really covering some amazing stuff. And I've talked to people from all over the world. I've had some of the most amazing human beings. I've had people that have overcome some incredible adversity. I got a guy next week that lost over 600 pounds, dude. And it's like, that has nothing to do with roofing. My reason for doing it is because I love talking to people and I love hearing stories. And we live in a time where you can do shit like this and you can put it out there and people watch. Let me ask you, okay, with your podcast, I know how hard it is. I've been doing this for 3.5 years. I love doing it. It's the most fun hobby I've ever had, but it can also be a little bit of a pain in the ass. So tell me a little bit about your experience as a podcast host, a professional. I know you got a better camera than I do. I'm looking at it right now and I'm like, ugh. But tell me a little bit about the experience.
So like creating this podcast, I posted a Facebook story jumping on, like, I can't believe I've got all this stuff and I can actually set it up and get everything ready in like 10 minutes. That's nuts. But I've done this a few times now. And the cool thing about that is, more than anything, this has become very therapeutic. And it is. I forget sometimes that there are even other people that are watching, because the conversations, when you're talking to the right people and you're talking about things that actually matter, um, you forget that you're on a podcast and you actually get to engage with another human being in thought, and you exchange dialogue, and that there's a lot of sales that happens in this, and I like it. It's therapeutic for me. It's not me with my, ADHD and all these random fucking business owner thoughts flying through my brain all day. This is a very sit down, I hit the ball over the net and you hit it back. And I'm comfortable here, you know.
Yeah,
It's
and to me,
it's
it's so
cool,
much
man.
it's so much fun,
Yeah.
and just the people. When I started it 3.5 years ago, it was like, yeah, whatever, we'll do like a couple of them and see. And
Yeah.
as I've continued to get going, and I've continued to get more and more comfortable with it, and now I'm using it for business and everything. It's just been, like you said, therapeutic. I went
Yeah.
through a like personal stuff that was bothering me, and it was like, let me go find some people that have been through the same stuff and let me put them on a podcast and let's talk to each other. And, I do a lot of them like this where we've known each other for a few years. We've hung out, we're friends. And
Yeah.
I've also done one, and probably close to 100 of them where it's like, I will meet somebody literally right that second. I'm like, let's go ahead and hit record and see what happens. And I've had some incredible people that have told me some stories that like I would never have guessed. And I would have never talked to them. I would have never met them. 17 different best-selling authors have been on my freaking podcast.
That's
and
cool.
To me, it's like, hate on that if you want, people in the roofing industry. I don't care, because I'm not doing it for all y'all. I'm doing it for myself. And if anybody does watch it, I appreciate it. And you do get those people who will reach out and say like, hey man, I saw this episode from 2 years ago.
I can't
And
imagine thinking about that, how many life stories you've heard. Like how
it's
many like
177 so
impactful.
far.
Oh man, that is an insane. So at the end of your life, the ability for you to look back and to be able to see life through other people's experiences, that's cool. That's
And that's the
something
whole
that's
point.
cool, man, because it's not that you're just not living through Chuck's eyes anymore.
Yeah.
You're
You're learning
seeing what
stories.
things
And
like.
I still, to this day, one of the guys that I send the video the most of to people that want to get into roofing is Ben Menchaca. And Ben's been gone for a year and a half.
Dude,
And I
I
send
was
that thing,
just Can
and
I tell
it's
you?
like it was
Can I tell you
yesterday.
something creepy? It's so weird that you brought this up. Can I tell you
Go
something
ahead, dude.
creepy,
There's probably a reason. It's probably the spirit
dude?
of Ben Menchaca hanging out with us right now.
Oh
We
my
love you,
god,
bro.
it's so weird that you said that, dude. Stop. Okay,
Love you,
no
Ben.
bullshit. No bullshit. So I remember I was walking down the street the other day and I was knocking on doors, and I'm the owner of the fucking company, right? And I'm out here by myself. I'm knocking on doors and I'm doing the work, and it's fucking 104 degrees and it's absolutely miserable. And I was getting in good conversations, but I was kind of, that feeling when you get to a neighborhood and you're late to the party a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And it
This
sucks.
guy's cool,
And
but
so
he's
this
just cool to
guy's,
talk
yeah,
to.
yeah, he's just cool to talk to. You're a little late to the party. So you're, canvassing and moving around and doing this stuff. And then I remember feeling discouraged. I'm like, dude, it's already 6 o'clock, bro. It's dinner. It's almost 7. You've been out here hustling all day long. Like, come back tomorrow. Like, it's just fucking defeated, bro.
It's easy
And
to do that too.
I fucking remember sitting across the table in Orlando from having dinner, me, Jacqueline, and Ben. And we're sitting here eating, and me and Ben are just fucking laughing our asses off and telling stories and exchanging, like these little tales and stuff. And I remember Ben saying something that if a dude with 4 fingers from the meat packing plant can be successful at this, like, you have no excuse. And I was just like, I was walking down the street, bro, and I remembered him saying that. It was like crystal clear in my fucking head. And I was like, if a fucking 4 finger dude from the meat packing plant can do this, like, he's and I was literally like, I looked up real quick and I was just like, appreciate that, dog. And it really was, dude. It was, and that's so weird that you say that. That's weird as fuck, man.
Well, I'll
But
tell you something even more weird, okay? And this isn't weird, dude. It's actually freaking badass. And I was at that same event at RoofCon where you guys were having dinner there with Ben. Yeah. And we had the tickets where you could sit in there with like Ed Milet and John Maxwell and all those guys and have lunch and all that. Yeah. And I remember I was sitting there with my friends, Clint and Leanne Koppel. Yeah. And there was somebody sitting over here, but I saw Ben come walking up and I'm like, Ben, man, hey, there's a spot here if you want to sit with us. And it was badass because he did, right? And we start chit-chatting, start talking. And John Maxwell was actually talking in the background, but Ben, with his personality being what it was, kind of captured the entire table with, like what you say, stuff like that, a four-fingered guy from the meatpacking plant. And he starts saying stuff like that. And we're all just like, dude, this guy's charming as hell.
Yeah, he's cool.
And we forgot John Maxwell was talking. And the whole time it was like, dude, Ben Menchaca actually took the room over from him. And he went up there and he was speaking on the microphone and doing all that stuff. And you just, you never know. But that all started as us talking about the podcast. And that's the beauty of it. I was able to get Ben on here because, dude, you never know. I mean, life's quick and it can just go like that sometimes. And I'll forever be grateful as long as I'm on this planet for that opportunity that I got. And you can go back to YouTube 20 years from now and click on that thing and it'll feel like you're still in that moment. So that's why I do my podcast. I have a feeling that that's why you're doing yours as well. And like I said, to any of the haters that don't like us for doing our podcasts,
it's not for you.
Whatever. I don't do it for you. And I know you are watching anyway. So thanks for the hate. I appreciate that. Let's wrap it up, bro. It is 9:47 p.m. on Monday. I was not expecting a live episode, but this is badass. And I thank you for it. It's live, but it's also going to be, like I said, for eternity. This thing's going on YouTube. It's going on all these channels. So Dave Taggart, A5 Roofing, you've got an amazing story. You started off in the trades. You became a sales rep after a very short sales history. You jumped out, you defied the odds, and here you are. And you're getting ready to continue moving forward for the next several decades. Hopefully I can be around to see what happens with A5 as we go. But what if someone's watching this and they're in the island of Vanuatu, like my friend Kat, who was an author that was on here, or maybe my guy Roger, who was a circus clown in England. And he's like, you know what? This jolly old Taggart guy is pretty cool, man. I'd like to follow him on social media. I'd like to learn some more about him. He does a lot of free training and content for people. How do these folks, millions of years down the road, because you and I are going to be gone at this point when millions of folks have seen this, but we're going to be living on and teaching these fools forever. So how do they find you a million years into the future to follow Dave Taggart on social media and learn from him?
Well, just David Taggart on Facebook works. Like, you can find that. On Instagram, the Instagram handle is the Roof Poppy. That is a long story there.
Well, that was how I was planning on ending the episode. Yeah, so you led me right to the water there.
It is a pretty cool one. And the Roof Poppy on Facebook or Instagram, or just David Taggart. Either way, I don't really do LinkedIn because I'm like not 50 yet. So that's like, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
I'm not 50 either, bro. But
you know what I mean? Now. Well, I mean, if I'm just looking at my customer demographics, my guys are on mostly, Facebook and Twitter.
My LinkedIn people are all roofers, so I can respect that. And that just, you led me to the freaking, like, you're going for the game-winning field goal, and they just ran the ball to like the 3-yard line. All I got to do is push it in now. Yeah. I wanted to ask about the Roof Poppy. So obviously Roof Poppy was the guy who was out there, badass sales rep, setting the world on fire. As the Roof Poppy has evolved into Dave, the CEO,
Yeah.
the A5. Let me just ask this. Has the Roof Poppy been retired forever? Does he ever make any special appearances? What's going on with that guy? Because I feel like we kind of missed the Roof Poppy a little bit.
So that's it comes out a lot in we do our meetings, our weekly meetings over here with the team and the staff. The Roof Poppy has always been just kind of like the bullshit, right? Instagram handle was something that was, kind of given to me. I thought it was funny, and then I was given an idea to, like, try and market it or something, like, hey, that's actually clever, you should do that. And it became like an alter ego, I guess, if you would, over time, kind of like Bruce Wayne has Batman. And for me, it was the guy that was better at my job than I was. And that's the person that I wanted to be, right? Was like kind of this weird, Conor McGregor, Andrew Tate of roofing sort of a deal. It was, just like, hey, I could, be in sales and make money and have these cool cars and, and be fit and work out. And, I'm basically making money doing roofing so I can just spend all my time at the gym and fuck off and have fun and, make a high income doing it. And at some point in time, the growth comes and you realize that it's not so much about you, that it's about other people. And so that part of you takes a back seat, but it doesn't mean that the mask doesn't go back on every now and then. It just means that you spend more time being Bruce Wayne than you do Batman. And
That's exactly it.
yeah. And so for me, yesterday, going out and knocking doors by myself again, just to do the activity, to be the guy that's doing that. It's not always fun, right? It's not always the most enjoyable thing, but you've got to be willing to do difficult shit in uncomfortable times if you're going to ask other people to do that same stuff with you. So you do the work, you do the activity, and to make it enjoyable, you put the fucking mask on, and you go do some vigilante shit and you make it fun because it's just something has to be done, you know and that's really it. So it's not I don't spend as much time with the cowl on anymore. So but
But it's
it's
still
cool.
there. And
It's
that's
oh
that's
yeah,
that's the only
bro.
thing that we needed
Oh
to know.
yeah,
I
dude.
wanted the world to know the Roof Poppy
Yeah.
is still there. Don't
Yeah, he
don't
still
ever
kicks ass.
FAFO, because if he shows up, you're gonna regret that. So
Yeah,
that's
these guys will tell you, we get together and we go outdoor knocking, and it's like nobody gets out of the truck without energy. Like
oh no, that's for
we're
sure.
here to slay dragons and burn your huts. And this is what we've come to do. And we're absolutely gonna show up, and we're gonna do that to the best of our abilities, and we're gonna laugh our asses off all the way to the bank when we're finished. But it's a lot of fun being that guy.
Hell
Yeah.
yes, it is. And that's what life's all about. We're having fun, we're making things happen, we're helping people, changing lives, all that stuff. Might as well enjoy it. So
Yeah.
that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you bust out a live episode of Keeping It Rio number 177 with the Roof Poppy himself, David Taggart.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough, man. Like I said, this was one that I was wanting to do for a long time and turned out even better than I had anticipated.
I'm glad we
For
did.
everybody that watches this show, thank you guys. It means a lot to me. We kind of just covered why it means so much, but it really does. When I see numbers of people that are watching and people that reach out, it really means a lot. So thank y'all for that. And thank you, dude, for taking your Monday. I know you're not at home, and I know you still live about 20 minutes away. So get to the house, get you some sleep, and thank you guys. Until next time, keep on keeping it Rio. I didn't even play the video for my sponsor, Roofer, but y'all know I love Roofer. Use Roofer for all their products because they're beasts. And until next time, ladies and gents, we're out.
Peace.